pouring rain and hail somehow.
Renzo, but you're here. You're not in Italy.
No, I'm here. No.
Yeah.
Now I cannot, well, we cannot go over there. You probably heard the news, right? It's probably going to come up.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know if you got stuck there. Sorry, I kind of missed the conversation.
No, I'm here. I'm stuck here. It's good.
Oh, look at Heather and George in their Canada sweatshirts. Woo!
Hi, guys.
Oh, and Charmaine, you're wearing red. Good for you. Oh, and all of my Canada things are in storage.
Good excuse.
Yeah, good excuse. And I see Jeff.
Our hat,
no, I forgot it.
our hats are at the RV, so.
Oh, Jeff's got a hat.
Well,
We'll be right back in a minute. I forgot something.
Oh, I have red cherries. That's about it. From the Okanagan. Oh.
Have any of you been to Waterton Lakes and Waterton Park and Kootenays?
I know the Waterton Parks are in Alberta. I know those ones.
Yes. But have you been there or anybody?
Yes,
Kootenays?
Yeah, I was there 6 years ago.
Yeah, I was thinking about taking it. I haven't been, so I said maybe could be the time to get to know the area. Yeah, take some days off.
Oh, it's absolutely.
Sorry?
Absolutely worth the trip if you're able to get. It's worth the trip if you're able to get down there.
Hey, Matthew, your reception, you're not coming through. It's all cut up.
Let's see what's going on.
Your picture is frozen too, Matthew.
Oh, that's just me. I stay still.
No, your lips are not moving.
Oh, that's been my planned ventriloquism over the last few weeks.
Oh, sneaky.
What's going on?
Patricia, what a surprise.
where's Jeff?
You can't see, he's all red.
I heard him.
He keeps disappearing into his background.
Right.
I'm hiding in the corner. I want you guys to talk for as long as you can.
Why?
Don't look at the man behind the curtain.
Yeah, don't look at the man behind the curtain.
Oh,
Renzo!
No, that's so good.
I had to get in my car.
Renzo, that's hysterical.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Who are we looking at? Who are we looking at?
I don't know.
Renzo, his
my brother.
Canadian mask. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
No, my daughter's working at a curtain company, well, Stage Fab, you know, they're doing curtains for this exhibitions. So they didn't have any work, so they decided to make some more masks. And I thought, can you make some of me so I can pass it on?
Oh.
They made a batch for me.
I was wondering if a part of my sewing projects this summer would be making masks that I can hand out, customized masks to all my guests next year.
Yeah. Well, I got a 12. She's got still about 10 left, I think, from this one and another something else.
They're
selling it for $18.50. So it's 3 layers. It's 3 layers of cotton. So it's the good ones with 3 like cotton woven, basically. That's good.
Nice.
See my shirt?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay. Very good. Let me hear. Let me just see if you don't have to do this right now, but I just want to see if this sign works.
No.
What is it? What is it?
It maybe stop muting. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
No, you don't have to actually mute your mic right now. It's okay.
Oh.
I just made a handheld sign, but I see it doesn't work when the virtual background is behind me here. So let me just change that for.
Yeah. Hi, Donna.
Hi, Donna.
Hi. I
Nice to
finally
see you.
figured it out. I know how to use Zoom.
Welcome to the club.
Thank you. It's a learning curve for me.
Everybody.
Don't worry, it's been a learning curve for all of us.
Yeah, Donna. Donna, good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to see you guys.
Did you move out of your house and you're in a condo now or something?
I'm still in the co-op. 8 years now.
Wow, yeah, because that's how long ago your mom passed away, right?
No, she passed away in '89.
Oh, okay, okay.
I
Yeah,
kept
but you stayed in the house quite a while.
15 years until I got the price I wanted.
What would have happened if you'd waited a few more years?
I probably wouldn't have survived. The house was falling down. So I got rid of it.
I'm curious what Donna's going to do for the summer. Well, since you retired also from St. John's Ambulance, and I don't think there's any tours you're going to find. So are you going to be okay?
Oh yeah, I'm thinking I might apply for the CERB thing. I don't know if I can do that, I think. And then I've been painting all my little decorations out in the lawn. I've done a lot of painting. You guys need any decorations painted? Yeah.
How about a bedroom?
No, I don't do indoor.
Check in.
You're right. I haven't seen you guys for a long time. Where you been?
Hiding from you.
We were down in California and Arizona when all of this COVID stuff started erupting, and we didn't realize until we got back home in March 15th what the scenario was. So
Basically, the day of reckoning for everyone was March 15th.
I think so, yeah. Not good.
So yeah, we've done every job in the house that could possibly do it. We talked to a friend and she says, you wouldn't believe it, but I used a toothbrush to clean the baseboards. And I go, yeah, we've been there. And so we've gotten out for one RV trip and we're planning another one very soon.
Good.
Okay, just a sec here. Just reading a chat here. Marlene, or rather, anyway, we're already recording, right, Matthew? I think I heard you say that. Or
Yeah, we got the banter's happening.
Okay. So everybody, welcome this morning to our 11th CTGA Zoom meeting. And we're still hoping for a guest speaker to join us. The holiday tomorrow has really interfered with people's availability to come and be with us today, including some of the attractions. They're all either phoning me this morning or emailing saying that some people are still working from home. They've flown the coop. So this morning we're going to talk with, until I get a notification maybe that someone's there for us, we're going to chat to each other and let a suggestion has been made that we all get a turn. There's only about 14 or so of us on right now, and everyone gets a chance to talk and tell us what's happening. I can tell you though, if for some, I have, what I have heard from the attractions is that, here, Trishy's just doing her morning walking around, and see if I can get her to, here, can you sit down for a sec, Trishy? Because people want to say hello to you there. She's got her Canada hat on.
Hello, hey Trish.
Hi, Trish.
Hi,
Can you
Trish.
say hello, Trishy?
Hello.
Oh, you're blocking her view of Matt Dillon and Perry Mason. So hi there. I just found out this morning, and I don't have all the details. Not that I'll share them with you, but in Trisha's family, dementia didn't really run. And she was so Trisha's one of 5. The oldest sister passed away. The next sister is a lady named Delanor, and Trisha's 3rd born of the 3 girls. And, you know, she came down with this about 4 or 5 years ago. And her sister in Kamloops started to show signs of it about 2 or so years ago. And I only found out this morning that they were able to admit her into a hospital for some observation period this week or in the last week. And so unfortunately, you know, the work goes on to try to figure out what's causing it. Because, you know, the older ones among us, as kids, we knew as people got older, sometimes they get forgetful, but we didn't hear the term Alzheimer's or dementia or any of that stuff. And now they're saying people in their 50s are getting it, you know, certainly at much earlier ages. So it's a mystery as to what's causing it. Some people think they know. Anyway, so that's unfortunate. Trish doesn't really understand when I told her that this morning, but we might just be able to go up there. I don't know.
Yeah, to her.
Can you give us a smile there, Miss Canada girl?
Oh, there's too many of them.
Too many. It says too many. Yeah. Okay. Very good. All right. So the attractions that did notify me, most of you, I think, are following the news fairly closely anyways. You've heard things like the aquarium is reopened, Capilano Suspension Bridge is reopened.
Grouse.
Yeah, grouse. So many of them want, what I've been able to ascertain is that if an individual person, or say 2 people, or a man, a wife, and maybe a kid just show up, they're not likely going to get turned away, but they pretty much all want people to go online first, set up a time thing where you can sort of pick the day you want to go, pick the time you're planning to arrive. And the best thing is to just visit their websites. And it's so easy. You know, you just have to type things like Vancouver Aquarium and Capilano Suspension Bridge, and these websites just come up right away, or a paragraph or something comes up, and you just tap on it, and then you're at the correct site. As for the Van Dusen Garden, sorry, not Van Dusen, actually, Marlene, you can speak on that later. I'm sure you know what's going on with Van Dusen. I meant to say the Museum of Anthropology, their website indicated that they're closed, and I couldn't actually get through to them either with a phone call. So I'm guessing they are closed. So don't send someone out there without ensuring that they are open. As for Capilano Suspension Bridge for a moment, they also want people to show up at a timed experience. If anyone does have a group, they definitely want you to phone or email them because they want to know this kind of thing. And Capilano, by the way, sort of a little bit of big news, not that it really matters to most of you, but the shuttle service that they've been running for many years now with the Vancouver Trolley Company, I don't know the nuts and the bolts of what happened, but it is no longer Vancouver Trolley, either trolley type coaches or the highway coach buses. They're not running it anymore. Temporarily until next week or later this week, it is Trax or CBL. Let me just look at my calendar, and they're trying to decide whether they're going to continue with that or not. There still will be a shuttle from downtown, and the shuttle is still from Library Square, and of course the famous Canada Place, the Hyatt, and then it swings around down Robson Street to the Blue Horizon. So if you are out and about, you are encountering tourists, or you just know people that want to go, you can still get there via a shuttle.
Just a little quick addendum there for you. There's nothing untoward that happened. It was just the end of the 5-year contract.
And they decided not to, CAP decided not to renew with them?
From what I can tell, it's actually West Coast not wanting to bother with the shuttle service anymore. So they didn't enter the bid process.
Interesting. Okay. Because that was you know, if you're the boss of a bus company and you've got a chance to run 5, 6, 7, 10 buses a day every day on a shuttle, that's money coming in. So
yes, but at the same time, West Coast has been pulling away all of their charter services after the Vancouver Trolley Coach Services merger. So they stopped providing charter services as a whole, and the last thing that wasn't a hop-on, hop-off related service for them was the shuttle that they were doing. So that once that time period was done, they just didn't bother to renew it, and it became available for anybody else to enter into it.
well, I wonder whether that was a good idea for this year. That would have given them some money for this year. It's too bad. The timing, of course, is just awful, right?
I mean, yeah, but you got to remember too that West Coast has been expanding nationally. They bought out Ambassadors, they bought Gray Line Niagara as well. So they've been refocusing their brand on different different things. So
Halifax.
What is
yeah, Ambassadors in Halifax. Ambassadors in Halifax. Yeah, they pretty much run, you know, between Murphy's and Salty's and their Harbor Hippo and all that other stuff. They pretty much are the largest tour operation in the Maritimes.
Now, what was the other thing you said?
Gray Line Niagara.
Yeah, I didn't realize that franchise was available. So
Yeah, no, West Coast purchased that last year. Yeah, just about a year ago now. So they kind of, you know, they had other plans, Bob Safrata and them, and, you know, providing local charters to camps and shuttle buses is just not in their plan.
We did.
I have a question, Jeff, as you've been talking to these attractions and these places, I haven't, because I'm out in Chilliwack, I haven't really looked into it much. Do you know whether or not any of them are going to be honoring our Tourism Passport 2019?
yeah. Yes, from what I've been able to ascertain, most of them are. I know the Sea to Sky Gondola is, and I'm pretty sure Britannia Mines is. Now, by the way, a couple of these people I've just mentioned said that they would try to have someone in place next week, although next week we were attempting for a guest speaker who said yes already, but so we'll figure that out. The holiday right in the middle of the week is really kind of taking some potential people for us away. Go ahead, Matt.
Sorry, there's a couple of addendums to, yes, most of them seem to be honoring the Privilege Pass, but there's some increased restrictions this year. Sea to Sky Gondola is no longer on the website for the Privilege Pass. But they seem to be accepting it. I know of a few people that have gone up. It's a Monday to Friday thing, though, not on weekends. And from what I've heard, it was the same with CAP. Monday to Friday only, not weekends.
I don't have any, sorry, I don't have any information about Van Dusen, just so you know. It just got to be too much to be guiding all summer long and then going to the garden and guiding. And so I gave that one up in 2018. And I know from earlier they weren't honoring the passes, and I'm going to, before I go to anywhere, I'll be checking websites. But yeah, I just thought I'd ask the question.
That may have changed because I was there a month ago and the passes were accepted. For both me and my girlfriend. So we just set up the time to go, and then, but whether or not that was just somebody that wasn't fully adhering to something, I don't know. But
okay, thanks.
Okay, well, so the shuttle for getting to Capilano now, if there's a shuttle to and from Grouse, I suspect there is, but I spent all day yesterday, 3 times I called for 30-minute segments being put on hold. And you know, when you call some places, they say, we'll get right with you. Oh, by the way, if you know the extension, dial this number. I had some extensions and everything routes right back to option 4, which is just the main switchboard or the guest services people. And they, they're open, and nobody ever answered the phone other than the voice recording. So although I had heard that they're running on a skeleton staff, still you'd think phone calls coming through. I called the aquarium and they answered the phone on the first ring, a real live person. Capilano Suspension Bridge generally always answers the phone within 1 or 2, 3 rings. There's a handful of these people that are out there that know got to answer the phone, get a real person on there. And there's a lot of the corporates who go, oh no, don't answer the phone. In fact, don't even call us, just send us an email. And then they rarely get back to you on an email. So I suspect we've heard Grouse is open. They sent me an email the other day, and it wasn't detailed enough about their shuttle service. So I also tried to talk to Hell's Gate, because I'd heard that they were potentially open, but I guess they're not. They didn't reply back. Let's see who else is on here. Oh, Butcher Gardens. They begged. They're so sorry that they didn't have anyone available. Do you know that at Butcher Gardens, some of the inside staff folks, the top salespeople or whatever, they're working the front line. They're working at the toll booth. So I think what's happened is they've let a few people who are, well, they've got some of these people on salary and they're keeping them. They have to pay them. So they're saying, you got to work the front line, and they're working it. So they said they couldn't make it to a Zoom thingy with the phone in their hand and, talking to us, but they're open and they're pretty much, please drive in, please come, please.
I would expect they're probably seeing no more than 100 or 200 people a day, I'd imagine, on average.
Well,
I get the price for the ticket. How much is it right now?
Well, here I don't know. I didn't think to ask them what the price is, but I can tell you this. Capilano Suspension Bridge went ahead with a plan to increase. For one adult now to go, who just walks right up there or gets off the bus, it's about $54 plus tax. And yes, after 5 o'clock, there's roughly a 20% discount. But I suspect that some of these places have not lowered their prices in the hopes of catching locals who may not come that often.
Yeah, actually I was sitting at the Spaghetti Factory in Gastown the other day, and we overheard another table talking about the fact that they weren't going to be going to Cap because the prices were so high, and they were locals. There are some deals. Yeah, well, that's it exactly. I mean, it's a $300 excursion to go for a family of 4, plus. A meal, a snack or something like that, or a souvenir there sort of thing. Bouchard Gardens, their websites, prices are $30 per adult. So they pretty much at pre-COVID pricing. They
didn't.
It's not a change. So
I'm curious if someone has a window open. Can you Google the CN Tower and find out what they're charging? I'm curious to know if you can if it says anything about a lower price because of COVID. But the last several years, the CN Tower was in the $40 range for an adult. It's probably about that still.
CN Tower in Toronto?
Yeah, I use that as a marker, because when I'm talking with if I'm talking price points on attractions around Vancouver here, I like to bring up something that, Australians or Americans or British people have all pretty much heard of the CN Tower. I mean, for decades and decades, it was the tallest structure in the world, right? And Disneyland, there's another one. I know it's not open at the moment, but Disneyland 4 years ago, for one adult, 1 day, was $100. And I think they had a 3-day, special.
That's US.
Yeah, 100 US, right? And I think for 3 days they had a deal for maybe 250 or something. Anyway, prices are, the tourist attraction prices. Even the Vancouver Aquarium is roughly $30 or more for an adult. If anyone wants to Google Vancouver Aquarium, what are you charging?
I Googled. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Jackie. Go ahead.
I Googled CN Tower, and adults up to age 64, $35. For seniors, 65 plus 25.
Yeah, that's
and
the same as it was in.
2 are free admission.
That's the same as it was when I was there in December.
Yeah,
so they haven't changed their pricing.
Yeah. Now, Capilano fees are really high, but often families will buy memberships that will entitle them to go as often as they like during the year. I think that's one of the attractions as well for the aquarium. That's the local market is, I think, how they target the local market. And for tourists, that's Canadian dollars usually help us, the value. So thanks.
Yeah, no, and yeah, it's definitely a marketing tool in that sense to be able to try and drive locals to get a membership as having a high one-off fee.
Capilano offers the deal at Tourism Vancouver, right? So Tourism Vancouver can sell them cheaper than at the door.
For a couple of bucks, yeah.
They stopped that.
Interesting. Yeah, what Fatima was saying is true. I think Butcher Gardens does the same thing. If you buy come in and pay us today, and we'll give you a membership for the rest of the year, as long as you can prove you're a local, BC person, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it was Flyover that was doing buy-in adults get a free youth pass or something like that. I think we're going to start seeing, everyone's opening up right now with their initial fees, and as the numbers are probably not likely to increase too much, I think we're going to start seeing more deals coming up over the next little bit. The RV and camping companies already are doing crazy deals in that sense right now. So, some aspects are being affected earlier than others.
Has Flyover Canada reopened then? And are they spacing people apart in the theater?
Yeah, supposedly. Haven't been there yet. I want to do the Flyover Iceland before it goes away. Yeah.
I have a tour guide friend in Seattle who goes there a couple times a year, or he did. And the pictures he sends, it's amazing. Amazing. Okay.
I got an email from whale watching a couple of weeks ago, so they are open. But with reduced seating, of course.
Yeah, Prince of Wales just put out on their Instagram today that they're now opening all 3 of their bases for the first time. So, but at, as you said, reduced seating.
And I heard the mayor of Whistler Whistler on the radio this morning, and of course it was in the news the last few days. They've reopened. The O'Dane Gallery is reopened as well. I heard that they were doing spacing and all that stuff. So, but it's best to check the Whistler Blackcomb website just in case there's something you need to know. The footage from the village stroll seemed to look normal. I mean, down here in Vancouver, we were downtown a couple times in the last week, and on the seawall, up on Broadway at Cambie. It's all starting to look so normal. Sometimes there's not even a lineup anymore to get into any of the bigger stores, like the Save On Foods up the street here. I haven't seen a lineup to get in there in a while. And other stores, there still are, the Winners, the Home Depot, the Best Buy. So it depends where you're going. But boy, the traffic, everything's starting to look pre-COVID. So, Jackie, I see your face on my screen right now. How are you doing?
Okay. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Nice to see everybody. Just if anyone lives in Vancouver, I live in the Arbutus area. There's a brand new, wonderful Safeway that's reopened. There's been about 3.5 years of construction. The buildings above it are about halfway completed, but good to have our Safeway back. And it's like a super version of it. So no lineups. Lots of parking, free parking. So if you're in the neighborhood, drop by. I can echo what Jeff said. I hang out at a lot of the same places. The only place on Cambie that I stood in line briefly was Canadian Tire, but the line moved so quickly. We were in and out of there. Whole Foods, all those stores are not busy, like in terms of lineups. So they're busy inside, and you observe spacing. But other than that, I'm a member of the City of Vancouver Seniors Advisory Committee. We're having Zoom meetings dealing with a lot of things, that some of which have come up, like the Stanley Park bicycle route thing, and it's the concern for seniors and for people with accessibility issues. So yeah, and I'm on a couple other nonprofit organization boards, so lots of Zoom meetings, but would love to do some local day trips and I'm hoping the CTGA will be considering some of those, so that we can use this time as kind of a learning time. I would be up for anything that could be arranged. So I think that's enough for me. Thank you.
Just on the point of Stanley Park Drive, and thank you, Jackie. I took my car through there on Sunday around 4 o'clock. I was hoping for that being a really, really busy period and seeing what the backups would be like and so on. Here's what I discovered. 1 or 2 things that were a little bit surprising with the one lane that's open. One, when you leave the totem poles, if you're in a big bus, which I know is unlikely, you cannot drive to the Harry Jerome, the 9 o'clock, and the lighthouse and so on. You have to make that immediate hard left horseshoe turn onto that little cutoff, and you come right out immediately on the other side. Now that's doable. A big bus can do it, but the driver needs to know that. Keep to the right edge of the curb as he's on that exit driveway, and he's going to have to make that he goes forward and then starts going left, 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 and he should be able to do it. He may have to back up a tiny bit. It depends. The other thing I found surprising about the Park Drive, as we kept going, they did just past the Lumberman's Arch pool. They did create a passing lane. So they moved the bikes right over to the curb lane where they're not allowing any parking, and they created 2 lanes. Obviously that would be where the horse carriage could go for about a minute, and you could zoom by in the other lane. Then it goes back to 1 lane. If you need to bail out of Stanley Park at Pipeline Road, you can. You can turn left and get out, go down by the Rose Garden and get out by Georgia Street, which is where you're going to get forced around to anyways. The other thing is when we got up to Prospect Point, I believe I saw some flag people who weren't needed, but for some, first of all, at Prospect Point, at the totem poles, the bus parking, the car parking was regular, normal, no problems. At Prospect Point, you cannot park the tour buses there on the curb lane where you normally park because that's all for the bicycles. And for some goofy reason, they moved the bicycles through the regular car parking lot, and the lane on the left suddenly became full of cars that were parked. I don't know if they're parked illegally or not. There was 1 through lane, and the curb lane where the hop-on, hop-off buses usually stop, that was angle parking for the cars, except 1 last stall at the end was for 1 tour bus, any tour bus that gets there. But if you show up and you're expecting to be able to drop guests and that 1 stall is gone, you pretty much gotta, you can't get into the curb lane. You can't really do anything except keep moving. The other thing that was disappointing was down at the Ferguson Point Tea House. They had flaggers. The traffic was backed up, half a kilometer. And some of you saw in the news in front of the tea house, they had removed all the cars and they were letting the bikes in. So what's the problem? Well, when I was there on Sunday at 4 o'clock, they took all that parking and gave it to the cars on both sides of the road in front of the tea house, just like normal, but they had flaggers back there just at that intersection on the back side of the tea house. And they were letting if the cyclists were coming down the hill, they stopped the car traffic and let them cut in front of you because they were giving them the lane that was open that goes in behind the tea house. The buses and cars can still go forward in front of the tea house, but there's this collision intersection potential. So they had 2 or 3 flaggers there. They were all obviously taking shifts, spelling each other off and really holding up the traffic. But once we left the tea house, I think there was 1 more passing lane potentially, but as you may know, if you didn't know, when you get down to Second Beach, you are not able to go out along English Bay Beach. You have to move along the north side of Lost Lagoon and go out on Georgia Street. And of course, the traffic back up there sometimes was thick because of course, sometimes it's 2 lanes and 1 lane on the causeway. So depending on when you just hit it, you could hit it with a little bit of a slowdown getting to the light at Denman in Georgia. So it's for the most part okay. You won't be able to pull over at very many spots like the girl in the wetsuit, 9 o'clock done and so on. And you just sort of have to keep moving and just talk as fast as you can and try to point out the site. So there's my report on Stanley Park.
And we would lose out on passing the laughing statues in English Bay and that shortcut to Granville Island that I usually use through English Bay. So you can talk about that and going over the Burrard Bridge from there. Just a possible suggestion, maybe could we consider having a representative from the Parks Board talk to us one day? I know a couple of them, and just to hear kind of where they're at in terms of what they're hearing and kind of how they're going to make the long-term decision or whatever. So just a suggestion.
Well, depending on which park board member you get, they're either in favor of both lanes being reopened, going back to the way it was, or they're in favor of the moment of having just the one lane for bikes and the one lane for vehicles. So,
but they could explain to us kind of what they're hearing and from whom, you know, in terms of the pressure.
I think this coming week, this next week, especially, well, unfortunately tomorrow the weather is promising to be cloudy, and I'm not sure about how the weekend looks, but I think they were going to have a reassessment of things around July the 8th or 9th or 10th, and but you know, they're not going to get a true. Not all the players are in play. If there's no sunshine, there won't be as many people in the park, and of course, there's no tour buses at all.
Yeah, I mean, definitely next year, hopefully, will be a whole different situation that will have to be reevaluated for the industry, I would imagine.
That's what they've been saying from the get-go. This is a chance to start looking at something different right now while we have that opportunity. So,
yeah. Okay. Charmaine, I see your face on the screen. How are you guys making it out there in the wonderful Delta?
Oh, it's nice. I'm glad we've got something to look out of the window, I'll tell you that. No, it's
what does
good.
What does that mean? You could always look out the window.
Something nice to look out at the window. Not necessarily nice, right? No, we're doing okay. Thanks, Jeff. You know, this is time to recharge, rejuvenate. What else can you do, right? I'm kind of been in hibernation since March. So hoping to go out next weekend and rejoin the real world. Well, this would have been a great time to do all the attractions, but I lost my card because my bag was stolen in Barcelona, October 2018. And I was hoping to get the privilege card last spring, but, you know, as some of you know, worked with me, I was involved in this really massive project. I didn't have a chance to go around, get the stamp. So I'm cardless and so can't do any of the attractions, but you know what? There'll be something that'll come up. And like Jackie said, if you're doing, anybody's thinking of doing, you know, tours or fam tours or anything like that, I'd be happy to join in. Yeah. Thanks.
Well, Jackie's working on it. She and I have been working behind the scenes, and we don't have anything to announce at the moment.
He's talking about the other Jackie. Jackie's
yeah, Jackie.
This Jackie.
Yeah, but this Jackie's interested in joining whatever you guys come up with too.
Yeah. I think we have 3 Jackies now, do we not? Marlene, go ahead.
We have Jackie Eli as well. So yeah, we've got 3 Jackies. I talked to Jackie Stop Chicky yesterday, and we were trying to figure out dates and pursuing some of these ideas. One of the ideas I really liked was trying to do every Thursday evening an informal meetup for wine tasting at different vineyards around. But so far I haven't had any success because they're limiting the group size. And so you have to kind of go on your own. But I think we may still do sort of the informal through CTGA. You know, I'm going to be at Country Vines at 5 o'clock on Thursday if anybody wants to join me. Jackie's looking at putting together a picnic for August. What else? We were looking or talking about some sort of a coach trip, but haven't gotten details down about that yet. And I think most of the things right now will be informal. So she'll be coming out with an email in the next couple of days. And yeah, so I agree. I would love to, if there are any fam trips that are being planned or meetups. Oh, another one was a weekend up in the Okanagan. So what Jackie's going to do is, I don't know if she's talked yet to Matt, but it wants to send out a survey to the CTGA members just to get an idea. So like Jackie and Charmaine, if you're interested in joining, doing meetups, so that we kind of have an idea, because in these days, we really have to know numbers. And that's why the winery thing isn't going to work if we have individual groups of 4 that are not going to be joining other people, that's fine. But we can't be table hopping, you know, or they'll be losing their license. So, yeah.
What's that lovely backdrop you've got behind you there?
Yeah, that's through the window of the Red Jammers in Glacier Park in Montana on a really rainy,
those old cars, you
snowy
mean?
day. What's that?
Those old cars, you mean?
Those red cars, yeah. And so typically they have the windows down and the top off, but this was a snowy, rainy day in July. And you could just take photos through the glass. It wasn't even glass. It's like this really heavy duty plastic. So these are the photos.
It looks good.
Yeah.
Renzo, what's happening with you?
Well, still surviving, and I have to say, I'm fortunate because I've got also class 2, but never drove big coaches, at least smaller one. I got an option, make some drives and doing some deliveries or driving a cab or whatever else in between. So that's one option that actually makes it a bit easier to get by.
Yeah. And who else have we got hiding in the background there? George and Heather Bell, let's get a new update from you. Some people haven't seen you in a while. So your leg is okay, and what are you going to do? Have you already taken your RV and gone away?
You mean this year or forever?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, we were down in Arizona and California in January, February, and March, and then we did a trip up to Merritt a couple of weeks ago, and we'll be headed up to Williams Lake sometime within 2 weeks.
Are you going to make a trip over to Farwell Canyon while out there?
Oh, we might.
We're thinking about it.
If you haven't, it's definitely worth it. Just watch the logging trucks.
Yeah, we were also thinking about going down to Bella Coola, but it's really, you can't really do much down there, so it's a long drive downhill. So,
and I think the First Nations people are still saying stay out. So,
yeah, they don't want us in there yet.
But we're in the process of buying a new sofa, and so that's quite an endeavor. Do you buy leather or do you buy fabric, and it's all this kind of stuff. And then talking today with you guys, it's like, oh, this is a whole different new shift of thinking here.
Well, buying fabric will keep George from slipping off onto the floor.
And leather is cold no matter what time of year. I always needed a blankie.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll keep that in mind.
I thought people
great.
were saying leather was warm to sit on.
Oh.
I'll take that as a no.
No.
But I hauled out some trivia questions, but if we ran out of subjects to talk about, so.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Which once and future prime minister lost the 1874 election after it was known that they offered bribes during the construction of the Transcontinental Railway?
Mackenzie King.
Nope.
No, 18 something. What was the year?
What was his name?
1874.
74.
Well, that's Sir John A. Macdonald. He got involved in the
Yay!
scandal.
Yeah, he got, yeah.
And he got into power, out of power, and back into power.
That's right, too.
Yeah.
The Hudson's Bay Company is the world's oldest chartered trading company. What product gave this company its start?
Beaver.
The beaver pelts, yeah.
Right on. What Canadian figure skater was first in the world to land a quadruple jump in the world competition?
Stoico.
Elvis Boyko.
Stoico.
Stoico.
No.
Before that.
Kurt Browning.
Yay!
Good one.
What three oceans border Canada? Okay, all together.
Atlantic, Pacific, Atlantic, and the Arctic.
Very good.
I like it when they say from coast to coast to coast.
Yeah.
You can say that, right?
Yeah. That's nice.
What medical breakthrough led to a 1923 Nobel Prize for Frederick Banting and J.J.R. McLeod?
Insulin.
Very good.
Yep.
What Canadian province has the largest land size?
Oh,
Quebec.
that's province, it's Quebec. And if it's a territory, it's Nunavut.
But it said province. And
No,
you're
it's
correct. Quebec is the answer. The country's worst health crisis, oh well, I guess I'll have to change this one. Led by troops returning from overseas services in the First World War, was caused by what disease?
Spanish flu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In 1942, a national plebiscite sparked a fierce debate over military service and national unity. What was the plebiscite about?
What year was that?
1942.
That'd be conscription.
Yay!
Yeah.
Good for you guys.
Quebec, right? Wasn't that mostly a big fight about Quebec?
What was conscription?
Conscription.
Which mountain is Canada's highest? Come on, all together.
Robson.
Mount McKinley, isn't it?
No,
Mount Logan.
Logan.
Mount
The one
Logan.
on the island. Is it the one on the island?
Is it
No.
Logan?
Mount Logan.
Yeah.
Mount Logan. Mount Robson is the highest in the Canadian Rockies, but not the highest in the country. So
I've got a background I'm going to put up in a moment. You'll see it when it gets there, to do with what one of the trivia questions that Heather just asked. It'll take me a minute or two to find it. Keep going.
Okay. Who was Canada's prime minister during the Second World War?
Mackenzie King, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Canada is a part of the voluntary association of countries that used to belong to the British Empire. What is the association called?
I believe we had the
Commonwealth.
games
Is it
in
the Commonwealth?
1994 in Victoria.
The Commonwealth. Okay. What two Canadian cities were part of the original 6 NHL teams?
Toronto and Montreal.
Yay.
Chicago. Yeah.
Which Canadian city hosted the world during the Summer Olympics in 1976? All together.
Montreal.
Now.
Montreal.
76.
What was the name of Canada's flag before the maple leaf?
The Red
That
Ensign.
would be the Red Ensign.
I have a big one if someone cares.
Always a good one.
Okay. During what war did Canadian Dr. Norman Bethune create the first mobile blood transfusion clinic in 1936?
What, insulin? What year?
Sorry.
I'm looking for a war. Did Canadian Dr. Norman Bethune create the first mobile blood transfusion clinic?
Was it the Second World War?
1936.
Spanish-American Civil War? No, Spanish.
Yay!
There we
Very
go.
good, Matthew.
There, can you see my background? Those are the two scientists that are in front of Science World.
Oh. Should I continue or what?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
What province elected the first female provincial premier in 1993?
British Columbia.
Kim Campbell.
No, that was she was the first prime minister. The woman that Van der Zalm finally stepped down. She was from Surrey, Rita something.
No, it's
Rita
actually
Hayworth. No,
Prince
sorry.
Edward Island. Prince Edward Island.
Oh, shoot.
Ah, we were wrong.
Rita was later than that, and she lived in Newton.
Her mom was our client, so.
That's Kim Campbell.
Yeah, Kim Campbell. On August the 31st, 1976, Carolyn Bowes became the first woman to accomplish this, a feat that took 133 days to complete.
And what was her name?
Carolyn Bowes.
Carolyn Bowes. On August 31st, 1976.
She probably bicycle rode across the country.
Well, you two last words were correct. It's the first one that it was incorrect.
Across the country is correct.
She rode her bike, I said. She pedaled a bike. She rode a motorcycle.
The first part was wrong, but the last part, across Canada, was right.
She did something across Canada. Well, I don't think she jogged in 136 days.
I say ran, but jogging would be good.
Okay, yeah.
She ran.
Yeah, that was before Terry Fox, right?
Oh, yeah.
She had nothing to do that year.
Sound familiar?
So how many are you going to start running?
Sir A. Guinness spoke these words on July 13th, 1953. Now is the winter of our discontent / made glorious summer by the son of York. To debate this festival. What was the festival?
Probably something to do with Quebec and John Baptiste Day, maybe, no?
No, it was the Stratford Festival.
Oh, wow. It goes back to 1953. Wow.
Wow.
The very first YMCA in North America was opened in 1851 in this Canadian city. The first YMCA in North America.
Toronto.
I'm going to go with Montreal.
Montreal, very good.
Was it Montreal?
I was going to say otherwise it was Halifax, maybe. But
the Canadian Prime Minister won the Nobel Peace Prize for his role in developing the UN emergency force in 1957. Which Prime Minister?
Well, in 57, I think Diefenbaker, or was St. Laurent or Diefenbaker?
No, I'm going to go with Diefenbaker.
Pearson.
Pearson, of course, yeah.
Lester B. Pearson, okay.
Who was the first Canadian woman in space, flying aboard the American Space Shuttle Discovery from January 22nd to 30th?
Hi. Hey, I know you have your hair appointment. I still have that Zoom session with my Canadian Tour Guide Association.
Oh,
I was wondering.
That was Roberta
Bondar.
Yeah, you got it. I'm almost near the end. Do you guys still want to carry on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This sport, which originated with the Algonquin tribes of the St. Lawrence Valley, is the oldest organized sport continuously played in North America.
Is it lacrosse?
Lacrosse.
Yes. Very good. Actually, that is our national game as well.
Yeah.
You know that?
Would be nice having all these questions and answers to be able to.
Actually, one of the, sorry to interrupt, but I have some friends who are new Canadians, and if you Google a list of Canadian inventions, there's amazing information there. I know I use on my tours, I use some very commonly known ones like peanut butter and ice hockey, and there's some obvious ones that we know, but the list is really impressive. So I've sent that to them this week, and they were quite surprised and impressed. And it's good to have as, you know, as part of your tour, like winding up and you know, things you didn't know about Canada. I always find that people enjoy that. Thanks.
Go ahead. Well, actually, Heather, Jackie, while you're still on the screen, one of the things that the Seniors Network brought up is the lack of washrooms when you're out and about.
It's a constant issue for us. We work with the People with Disabilities Committee, and all the accessible washrooms that are there, like the one beside Nelson Park and in the West End, they are largely the work of many years of work by the Seniors Advisory Committee, many years before I joined. So it's an ongoing issue. We're always lobbying, but the stronger voice comes from the people with disabilities who work with us, including when they plan for like future SkyTrain extensions. TransLink or whoever, Coast Mountain will build washrooms. The problem is always who will maintain them. And I always say, like when I was in Taiwan, they have this amazing transportation system, and every station has a whole block or two of washrooms that are staffed all the time, and they're spotless. And those are people's jobs. So we seem to have different kind of issues here. But yeah, we lobby very hard. And during this pandemic, for people, you know, who have been out and about getting exercise, the usual places that you would go, community centers, hotels, if you need to go to the washroom, if you're able-bodied, they've all been closed. So it has affected a lot of people, as well as you know, just the general public, as well as seniors, people with disabilities. So it's a constant issue for us.
Does even simply setting up hand washing stations, because it would be nice to be able to wash your hands somewhere while you're out and about. You know, if they could, some of those water fountains that are there in parks, if they had an extra pipe that went off into a simple tap, even if it was just a cold water tap, and you could, you know, rinse your hands off. And you know, a lot of times I just walk out of those washrooms. I don't even bother with paper towels or the air dryer. Just, you know, within a minute of walking away, your hands are dry anyway. So.
Right.
Is that something that comes up though? Hand washing stations?
Hand washing itself hasn't come up, but as part of, you know, washroom facilities, it's come up. But certainly now, I noticed with the pandemic, where like every time you go into like the Safeway, they spray your hands, or they offer you the opportunity when you enter and leave to use that kind of hand sanitizer, the, you know, spray one. So there's certainly now a lot more awareness, which hopefully will carry through afterwards when you know, things return to some more kind of normal circumstances. But there's more awareness certainly about hand washing generally. So.
Well, I went swimming yesterday and it was lovely. The ocean was so clean. You know, I live in West Van, so I went swimming in Downtown. It was absolutely amazing how much the ocean was so much cleaner than it usually is without the ships coming in. So I just thought I'd let you know.
Heather, any other last questions there?
Oh, okay. This bridge at 12.9 kilometers in length is the longest bridge in the world to cross ice-covered salt water.
Would have to be the
Confederation
Bridge.
Very good.
What? Yeah. What year did that open now? It's already been 25 years, hasn't it?
It was July of 1997. I know because I was one of the 15 or 50,000 people that walked across it when it first opened up on the first annual bridge walk.
Did you walk the whole 12K?
Started off in PEI and ended up in New Brunswick.
Wow.
Yeah,
how did you get back to your car?
Well, for the bridge walk, for the operation, that like the day that they set it up, they had shuttle buses. Once, you know, the whole cohort made it across the bridge, and it took about 4 hours to 5 hours on that first day. Then they just had shuttle buses set up at the information center on the other side to bring you back to your vehicle. It was a big event. It was quite impressive.
Excellent. Anything else, Heather?
Yeah. In response to the temperance movement, Toronto pharmacist John J. McLaughlin invented this drink in 1907 as a popular alternative to alcohol.
It's not Clamato, is it?
Canadians
root beer?
What?
Root beer?
Pink Lady?
No.
I'm going to go East Coast and say good old raspberry cordial for Anne of Green Gables.
You'll be surprised, but it's ginger ale.
Oh.
Oh. Of course, yeah.
So ginger ale was invented in Canada as well. So
yeah.
Good old Canada Dry.
Yeah, I came up to drink Canada Dry, is what some Americans, for humor, will say.
Oh, usually I hear them say Crown Royal, but that's not.
All right. And
I could go on, but you probably guys are wanting to talk about other things. So.
Well, I've just added into the chat there the inspiration for the Canada flag, if anybody actually knows it offhand.
Oh, the maple leaf.
No, it was the flag of the Royal Military College of Canada. That was the inspiration of it. So I've actually just sent a copy of the flag for it. It was one of the ministers, George Stanley or something like that, was there and had made the comment offhand while he was doing an inspection with the commandant at the time. And then it got entered into it was adjusted a little bit and then entered into the competition, and it eventually was the one that won when they did that. It was in the 50s or 60s, I guess is when it was.
Wow. 65, I think.
65.
Yeah. February 15th, 1965. I was there at school and we all raised the flag for the first time.
So yeah, in the chat, if you want to take a look, if you're not sure, if you haven't seen that before, that's the inspiration for the modern design.
Yeah, you have to download it. Doesn't show up.
Yeah, download it. It opens up. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Well, that hour went by pretty fast. Eddie Klee, what are you up to? I see you're not on camera, but you're there. Can you say hello, Eddie? Eddie had big plans for the summer, didn't we all? But still there, Eddie? Oh, I think he's probably doing laundry or something. And I see Lisa on the participants. Lisa, can you say hello?
I'm just trying to unmute, so can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, hi. Well, I'm okay. You know, I live in the West End, close to the Stanley Park, actually right on it. So I have, of course, the advantage of just walking out my door and going for long walks or a bike. So twice a week, I try to do 1 or 2 hours. By the way, regarding the Stanley Park Drive, I was going for a long walk through the Rose Garden, then over Beaver Lake and all that, and ended up at the Ferguson Point. And we had hoped to treat ourselves for a nice lunch. And, first time with the tea house. Unfortunately, they were still closed, but a guy came out. It was around 2 o'clock, and he must be the top person there. And we asked him about the tea house, and he said that they're very upset because of the parking that the Parks Board had taken away for the bicycle lane that Jeff had explained before, that is running right in front of the tea house, that the parallel parking used to be. Anyway, they will have very few guests only because there is not enough parking. So this idea of Parks Board that they would, open up the park for cars so they would, be able to drive around, will, for the tea house, which is one of our most lovely places, in the city or in the park, of course, to enjoy maybe a meal or even out at the patio. They don't have enough parking because, like you said, alongside the green area, opposite from the tea house, the parallel parking was, that's the lane for the bikes now. And they also took away, and they not have available the parking lot on Third Beach. That's closed too. So there will be little, possibility for people to to stop there and, you know, do that. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
Maybe.
but you have to remember at the same time that the restaurants aren't at full capacity. There isn't, and they're not going to be at full capacity anytime soon. So there are fewer people that are getting into those required parking spots in some of those areas. So, you know, there's not as much demand as there would be either in high time or even just with locals in that sense, because, you know, reservations are pretty much a thing and you're only looking at, you know, 50% capacity.
Yeah, but you know, if you think that there maybe the parking space for about 15 cars right in front of the restaurant and nothing else, you wouldn't even be able to accommodate 20 people to go there. Anyway, but otherwise I'm fine. I'm just trying to keep busy. I'm doing quite a bit of small renovations in my apartment, painting things and new curtains and stuff like this, and just yeah, of course also hope that you know, some of the attractions are open soon so we can go there. And I'm very surprised that, you know, regarding the price range, as we said, also for, let's say, the Capilano Suspension Bridge, which we know it's all very expensive. I mean, I've been here, you know, I have known a lot of local friends, you know, they cannot pay that price. You know, it's just too expensive. And I mean, the year's membership, of course, would make sense, but how often would you really go? I mean, we have to be aware that we like to go and see certain places or the museums and all that, but you don't do it on a you know, 2 times a month basis. You know, so I mean, a year's membership for Capilano for the people that don't have the possibility, as we do with our privilege pass, is just out of the financial situation. You know, it's just too difficult. Well, anyway, otherwise, I hope that things are opening up a bit more. I want to do a bit of travel in BC, maybe go to the Okanagan or drive up to Banff in August. I have friends in Banff, I used to live there. So that will be lovely to do that, and maybe go to the island, and otherwise try to stay healthy and yeah, just enjoy the summer. Hopefully we have a good summer. Okay, bye.
Thank you, Lisa. I'll just add a tiny bit more about what Marlene spoke about, and I briefly spoke about earlier with the potential of a fam trip. Jackie Stopchecki will get eventually some news out. There is a possibility we will be able to do something with a busload of people, whether it's 25 or 30. Interestingly enough, I spoke with one bus operator last week who mentioned that he's willing to allow in town 35 people on a bus, spaced out as best you can space, 30, 35, and 40, I think he actually said 45 if it was a group. I think that's what he said. Maybe it was 40, but anyway, not that we're planning an overnight trip or anything like that, but something's afoot. We're working on something, and you know, when we're together on a bus, you're sitting down and you're hopefully, you know, staying away from the other person, or maybe there's partitions. I don't know what's going to happen with that. We'll see. But when we get off the bus, you know, there's space to, you know, quite a lot of the time when I look out the window here, or I'm walking around the north or south side of Falls Creek, or even the other day when I was at English Bay Beach, it's amazing how many people are leaving the house with a foldable lawn chair. And some of these new chairs, you can fit them right on your back like a knapsack, right? And then they sit in a circle. And they're all apart from each other, but they're in a circle, and they're, you know, that seems to be working well. It's a chance to be outside and still talk and hear each other, and so on. So we'll see what happens. Anyone else want to make a comment or tell us how they're doing or anything like that?
Just to add, I wonder if we can start using Facebook for those impromptu meetups, and post something like, you know, I want to go up to the sea to sky on this day. If anybody wants to join me, you could try that.
And then go in a car, you mean?
Yeah, go on or do our own transportation. So it's not an official CTGA. That kind of also then alleviates the pressure as far as liability.
Yeah, well, I can ask Alfred if he, you know, would be willing to lend his van because it seats 14 or 15, and you know, it's got 3 or 4 rows of benching. So anyway, we'll, you know, might be able to get a group of 6 or 7 together. My car seats 8, but we'd all be shoehorned in, right? So that's no good. Oh, Renzo, you have a van. You have one of those new Ford Transit vans.
I just have to put my seats back in again. Yeah, definitely can use it. Well, I'm going to drive you guys.
If all of your seats are in your van, how many total seats do you have?
I got total of, well, with me 15. It's a license 15.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
and then I got a luggage too.
We could get maybe 8 people sitting kind of apart.
Yeah, usually I think if I could do that tour that will come over from Europe, I told them I could take maybe 8 people, group of 2, basically 2 groups, 2 families basically, right?
I didn't get a chance to call the West Coast Railway people to see if they've reopened or not, because that's a lovely park there, and they have the odd picnic table, and you know, there's lots of space, and they have washrooms, and they have a little snack area. But we could probably bring a lunch in if we were to do a day trip up to Squamish, and especially if it were to see the, you know, there's a lot of us, I have, but I'm sure there's some of you that have not yet seen the new Boom show at the Britannia Mines. Well worth taking in, and the theater for that is small, but certainly they can seat, you know, probably 12 or 15 people at a time, I would think. So that'd be a nice little day trip. It's a good suggestion, Marlene. Very good.
And then I just wanted to add, this is also for George and Heather. Yay, I finally started on getting my curtains sewn for my van. It's going to take me probably a week to put it all together. But this is a project I've been wanting to do for since maybe 2006. So it's really going to be fun to do that. That's my big deal right now. It's getting that van all set up so I can go travel.
Let's go camping.
Let's go camping. Yeah. Yeah, that might be a meetup place as well for camping. I've got extra tents. I can sleep too.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, well, I guess we're winding down unless anyone else has a quick comment or anything at all that you want to bring up.
Happy Canada Day, everybody.
Yeah.
Happy Canada Day.
Thank you, and happy Canada Day. Bye.
Yeah, in honor of something.
Everyone stay safe.
Say again?
Everyone stay safe.
Yeah, stay safe. Well, in honor of one of the trivia questions that Heather read out earlier, we'll go out with a little bit of singing. All right. Happy trails. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. All right. Thanks again, Jeff. Thanks again, Matt. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.